I'm Sunday Joe. I'm a speaker, author, and blogger, inspiring women to break free from self-destructive behaviors so they can learn to love themselves and experience lasting transformation. Here's to the next right step. I want to ask you guys a question, and I want you to think about it during the course of this talk, and we'll come back to it again. I want to ask you, who is your source? Who is your source? I have to confess, actually, that I did not start working on this talk or preparing for this talk until 7:30 p.m. last Thursday. And I've known for several months I was going to do this talk. I knew exactly what the topic of this talk was going to be about, but it seemed like I kept avoiding sitting down and mapping it out and figuring out what God wanted me to talk about at absolute all costs. And at first I thought, this is going to be no problem. I kind of already have an idea what we're going to talk about, so I'll be able to, sit down and map it out. It's going to be no problem. So I sit down last Thursday, and I'm like, okay, I got to crank this out. I got to get this talk done. I've got a week. Seriously, I got to get my stuff together. Then I decided that I probably should clean my floors. Because I do that all the time. I never clean my floors. So I got up and I cleaned my floors. And they look really great and shiny. And then I thought, well, I could probably clean my counters because my floors look shiny and my counters look like crap now. So, cleaned my counters. And then I thought, okay, well, my feet got really dirty from cleaning my floors, so I should probably take a shower. And so here I am at like 6:30 p.m. taking a shower. And I get out of the shower and I see this picture that's crooked on the wall. I'm like, I should probably straighten the pictures. So I did all that. And then I sat down on my couch for 30 minutes and sobbed my eyes out like snot bubble cries. Because I realized that I was distracting myself. And I was distracting myself from trying to listen to what God was trying to tell me to do. I was distracting myself from the conviction of putting God on the back burner through things that were happening in my life. My name is Sunday Joe, and this talk is So I spoke here, I think it was in June, on this very topic actually. And the funny thing is I don't know if it's funny, but I was convicted then too when I stood up here and gave this talk on priorities. And I was convicted kind of for some different reasons, but I was convicted of allowing subtle distractions to come into my life. And I was putting God on the back burner. So this is kind of like a whole deja vu thing, maybe some different circumstances. And you'd think that I'd learned my lesson, but honestly, just to be honest, I think I've been avoiding trying to learn the lesson. God has been, he's been calling me to him lately, knowing that he's the only one who can make my life better. But I realize there's this part of me that's been avoiding it for different reasons. One of those reasons, I think, is the fear of what he's going to say to me. I'm not sure I really want to hear it. And then there's that part of me that lacks trust in his ability to take care of me. And if I can be even more honest, I think there's this part of me that's mad at him. Because I'm in the middle of this trial, and I have no control over it. And people that I love and care about are being hurt right now, and there's nothing that I can do about it. I have no control. And things do not make sense to me in life right now, and I don't understand what God's doing. And I go back and forth from I trust you, God, to I don't know what you're doing, and I don't understand why. And I keep trying to figure things out on my own, and I'm trying to do it without God's help. And because I keep avoiding things, I can't go as deep in my relationship with God as he wants me to go. But I know that that there's something in all of us that desires a deeper relationship with God. I know that we want that. I know that we all want God to be a priority in our lives, but sometimes I think we just get so busy that we don't necessarily know how to do it. And so tonight I want to share 3 steps to help us achieve the goal of making God our priority. Step number one is that we have to remove distractions. Distractions come subtly. Not suddenly, but they come subtly. And the things with distractions is that we can be doing a million good things. We can be doing a million good things for God, and we can still be distracted from God. My pastor gave a quote in a sermon several months ago, and he said, "We ask God to coexist in our hearts with others, but we do it subtly." Think about that for a second. In the book of Judges, there's this consistent storyline, and I want to paraphrase it for you, and it goes something like this. The Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and they were in bondage. And they cried out to God to save them, and He did. But then they got comfortable. And the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord, and they were in bondage. And they cried out to God to save them, and He did. And then they got comfortable. The Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord. And the circle continued and continued and continued. Does that sound familiar to anybody? That our circle just continues and continues and continues, and we keep putting something in the place of God? Judges 3:8 says, "The Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord. They forgot the Lord their God, and they served the Baals and the Asherahs." And I am the first to stand up here and say that I am absolutely guilty of this. Forgetting the Lord and creating my own Baals and my own Asherahs. And just to name a few of them, ministry. I can get so caught up in doing ministry and leading Bible studies and mentoring women and doing this and doing that and writing about this and writing about that I forget about God. But I'm supposed to be serving God. Yet I say, God, I don't have time to talk to you because I'm trying to tell other people about you. That doesn't work. Or my job. My job can easily become a Baal or an Asherah. Or this is a new one for me, people pleasing. I'm still learning this about myself. But here's one. It's really interesting. How many of you have ever watched the show Parks and Recreation? Okay, seriously, if you've never watched it, it's the greatest, stupidest, funniest show I've ever seen in my entire life, and I highly recommend everybody take a month out of their life to watch it. But I'm not a big TV watcher, and so one day, it's been about a month ago, I guess, I'm flipping through Netflix trying to find something on the TV, and Parks and Recreation showed up. I've never watched an episode of it on TV a day in my life, but I was like, you know what, I like Amy Poehler, I think I'll check this show out. The first episode was absolutely the stupidest thing I've ever seen, and I had cackled so hard, I couldn't stand it, and I thought, I've got to watch this show. And so I did. And I binge watched it. And by, not this past Tuesday, but the Tuesday before, I had watched all 6 seasons of Parks and Recreation. But when last Thursday came, and I said, I've got to sit down and I've got to work on this talk, I didn't have anything else left to distract me. And so I had to face the reality of what was really going on. And I didn't want to. I just wanted to watch Parks and Recreation so that I could laugh. And I just wanted to laugh because I didn't want to have to focus on the pain that was going on in my life. So by last Thursday, not only did I have to deal with what God was trying to make me deal with, now I have to wait for season 7 to come on TV. And nobody will tell me when it's going to come on. I've looked. I've signed up for their e-newsletter. I just want to know. You know, it's their last season. I just want to watch it. But seriously, we have to remove distractions from our life so that God can use us the way that He wants to use us. Number 2, we have to say no to things, even when they're important. So I told you a while ago that people-pleasing is something new that I'm learning about myself, and I'm learning that I don't like to say no to people, that I care about what people think about me. And it's not in that, I thought I didn't care what people thought about me. And it's not in that cocky, I don't care what you think about me way, but in the, I know who I am in Christ, so what you think about me doesn't matter. But when it comes to people that I love and that I care about, I'm learning that I kind of care about what they think about me. And I have people right now in my life that hate me, and I have no control over it. But I have to decide if I'm going to say no to what they think about me and focus on who God says I am, that God is my defender, and that God will take care of me. But I'm constantly thinking, what are they going to think of me if I say no? I heard this quote from a friend, and I have absolutely no idea who said it, but there is this rule in the speaking world that if you don't know who is the source behind the quote, after you share it 3 times, you get to claim it. So, when you write this down tonight, write my name next to it, because I now get credit for it. It says, "When my heart is closest to the fear of what others think, it is the furthest from the faith in the one who truly matters." I want to ask you guys a question. How many of you feel guilty for coming to this retreat this week? Raise your hands, be honest. You left a pile of things to do back home, right? You got your job, you got your kids, you got your husband, you got a ginormous to-do list, and those things just cannot survive without you, right? I want to encourage you tonight, I want to encourage you this weekend to let all of that go. Because I promise you, your to-do list is still going to be there when you get back. It's going to be a little bigger. It's going to be there. Your kids are still going to be there. Your husband's still going to be there. Your house is still going to be there, hopefully. Your job's still going to be there. I want to encourage you not to let anything else compete with the Lord this week. The week after I did the talk back here in June, I went on vacation. And my parents decided to take me and my stepbrother and his wife on our first family vacation since like 1998. So I was pretty excited to go. We were going to Mexico. And part of my job is I get paid to play on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Pinterest and YouTube and everything else there is. And it's a fun job, and I love it. And I get to do it for a great cause, and it's fun. But sometimes I don't ever get to get away from it. And so I thought, you know what, I am getting ready to leave for like 8 days. I don't have to do anything on social media if I don't want to. So I decided I'm taking everything off of my phone. I'm shutting my phone off, but I'm taking everything off of it just in case, but I'm shutting it off. And for the next 8 days, I'm not going to answer to anybody, and I'm not going to do anything on social media. And I didn't. It was amazing. And the world still survived without me. And so I'm on this vacation, and I'm making memories with my family that I haven't made in a long time. And side note, my stepdad winds up in the emergency room with a parasite, so he spent like the last 3 days of our vacation in the hospital, which, if you know anything about our family, we were not a bit surprised. So we're like, well, you know, we made sure he was okay. My mom's hanging out with him. So we decide, well, we should probably go do some kind of excursion. We still have like 3 days left in this vacation, and he's not dying, so we're okay. And so my stepbrother and my sister-in-law and me, we decide we're going to go on this excursion. And there's like this jungle tour, so you get to drive these boats through the jungle and the ocean, and it was awesome. I was pretty excited about it. So put my swimsuit on, we go down, we have breakfast. We have to be at this place at a certain time and to sign up, pay our money. And so we go do that, and they tell us, okay, here's what time you need to come back. So I go down there, and he tells my brother and his wife, you know, here's your boat, this is what time you're leaving, blah, blah, blah. Then he looks at me and proceeds to tell me that because I'm single, because I'm by myself, I get to ride in a boat with other people I don't know, and they get to drive. So I have control issues, and I was not okay with that. I want to drive the boat, plenty capable of doing it. And I thought, okay, I can like go on this boat, with people I don't know, where I could possibly have a good time. Or I could go do like whatever I wanted to do without anybody else around. So I decided I'm going to save my money, and I'm going to do that. And so, for my brother and his wife, you guys go ahead, have a great time. I'll see you guys when you get back. So in my swimsuit, all day long, I sat in my hotel room and watched TV. Now, I know you may not believe that, since I told you that I just binge watched 6 seasons of Parks and Recreation, but I don't watch a lot of TV, so this was kind of out of the norm for me. It was so awesome. It was so relaxing. I didn't have to answer to anybody. There were no expectations of me. I didn't have expectations of anybody else. I literally sat in my swimsuit all day long and watched TV, except for the times I went down to the buffet, got dessert, and brought it back up to my room. Now, I did have a hard time going to sleep that night because I spent most of the day watching true crime drama, but it was still awesome. And on the way to Mexico, on the plane, I brought my laptop and I thought, I'm going to do a little writing while things are quiet. I can put my headphones on and tune out the noise of everybody else. And I'm sitting next to my mom on the plane and she pulls out this crossword puzzle. Well, she's done crossword puzzles all my life and I thought they were the stupidest thing ever because I felt stupid when I tried to do them. And so she pulls that out and I'm like starting to type away, but I glance over to see what she's doing. And she's like, you want to help? And I'm like, maybe. And so I end up putting the laptop away, and we spend the rest of the flight working on this crossword puzzle. It was awesome. Well, on our way back, we were all so tired. We were ready for a nap. Nobody wanted to talk to each other. My stepdad's like sick. We're having to help him walk around. And she pulls out this crossword puzzle. I'm like, okay, this is going to be fun. I'm really tired, but let's do this. So for 3 hours, we did crossword puzzles. It was awesome. I said no to a nap. I said no to writing things that could have been really productive so that I could say yes to building a relationship with my mom so that we can have something in common that we weren't able to have in common when I was a kid. And it was awesome. And I feel super smart because I learned words that I never knew existed. Okay? Like, did you know the word ogle is in a crossword puzzle? I don't know what it means, but it's in there. The word for like this big ginormous African snake is asp, A-S-P. I didn't know that. And I also didn't know that Dwight Eisenhower's nickname was Ike. That's the stuff you get out of crossword puzzles. Right? I'm super smart. Now I do it like almost every night before I go to bed. I have a new addiction. But anyway, I was able to say, no to good things so that I could say yes to better things. So I get home and put Facebook back on my phone, put everything else back on my phone. It was good to check in and see what everybody was doing. But there was something different when I got back. I realized that those memories that I had in Mexico with my family, I just wanted to keep them right here. I wanted to build relationships that Facebook knew nothing about. Something that I could treasure the rest of my life. And I still haven't put those vacation pictures on Facebook. I just wanted to create memories that Facebook knew nothing about. We have to say no to things so that we can say yes to even better things. And last year, I realized that I was multitasking my relationships. I would be with people at lunch and I would have my phone out and they'd be talking and I'm texting away and pretending I'm listening, not hearing a word they're saying. Or we'd be sitting and watching a movie and I'd have my laptop out because I had myself convinced that I had to solve the world's problems. But we were sitting on the same couch together, so that means I'm investing in the relationship, right? But they were noticing. I was multitasking relationships. And for people whose love language is quality time, they don't feel loved when you're multitasking a relationship with them. And so I got really convicted of that, and I went to them and I said, you know what, I realize what I've been doing. And I'm sorry, I want to be present in the relationship with you. Will you forgive me? And they said yes. And that's exactly what God does. We can go to Him and we can say, Father, I'm sorry. I've been distracted. Will you forgive me? And He says yes. I heard these words several months ago too, that are still ringing in my ears today. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
That's right.
I'm good at a lot of things. We all are. We all have multiple talents. But the problem I find myself doing is that I try to do everything at once. And I'm not a juggler. I can't juggle to save my life. I think Amy's a juggler. If you guys get the chance to meet Amy, make her teach you how to juggle. But I'm not. I'm not a juggler, yet I find myself trying to juggle things that God has not called me to do just because I think I can do it. Because it makes me important. We all have opportunities that are put before us, and they sound amazing. They sound like things that we just can't refuse, right? And we think, well, this is so amazing, it has to be from God. But what if it's not from God? What if it's a distraction? What if it's something that you need to say no to so that you can say yes to something better that God is calling you to do? Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Number 3, we've got to focus on our source. This may not look like it, but this is my Jesus Calling devotional. It once was a very pretty devotional, and my dogs got really hungry for the word. Not once, but twice, hence the blue and gray duct tape. And just yesterday, that fell apart because they got a hold of it again. But I'm bound and determined to keep it. And several months ago, I had something big to do on this Saturday. It was so big that I don't even remember what it was. But I remember I went to bed late the night before, and so I'm a person of, I don't know what the word, routine. I'm a person of routine. So I like to have time in the morning to breathe and have a cup of tea and sit down and spend time with Jesus and just hang out in my pajamas and not just go. Well, I went to bed late the night before, and so I woke up that Saturday and I had to just go. But I walked by my desk and I picked up my Jesus Calling devotional and I opened it and I read it because I was trying to get my Jesus fix for the day. Cannot tell you what I read that day, but what I can tell you is that I felt horrible the rest of the day because I was trying to treat God like a drive-thru. I was trying to fit him in when I could make time for him. But God is not a drive-thru. He's not interested in competing with other idols. He's interested in spending time with us, but we have to make the effort. He says, be still and know that I am God. Be still. Be still. I fail miserably being still. All the time. But he gives me grace. And his grace continues to cover me. And he says, come to me, all you who are weary, and I will give you rest. When God becomes our priority, when he becomes our focus, everything else in our lives becomes a little less important, a little less demanding. I was driving down the road today, and this thought came to me that in the last 2 weeks, I've watched so many people go through so many trials. I have 2 friends who are going through kidney failure right now. I have a friend whose dad just died last week, and she's just having a horrible time with it. I have a friend who has to go to a specialist in St. Louis because she's having problems with, one of her internal organs. And I keep watching all this stuff happen to these people. I have a friend who just today got kicked out of rehab. Another one. And she's still battling her alcohol addiction. And I just thought while I was driving today, we cannot go through these trials without God. We will never make it. We will never make it. I did a radio interview not that long ago, and he asked me, the very last question he asked me was, who do you want to be remembered as when you die? And so I told him, I want to be remembered as a person who, when I sat down with other people, made them feel like they were the only person in the room. I want to be a person that made relationships a priority. I want to be a person who didn't multitask my relationships. I want to be a person who, when people walked away from me, they said, I don't know what she has, but I want it. I want to be a person who, when people walk away from me, they say, I want to know that Jesus that she knows. I want to be the kind of person who doesn't just talk the talk, but walks the walk. I want to be a person who leaves a legacy, not about my own glory, but that everybody who stands at my funeral said, I saw Jesus when I saw her. That's who I want to be remembered at the end of my life. So let's go back to the first question that I asked you at the beginning of this talk. Who is your source? Is it your job? Is it your husband? Your kids? Your education? Your church? Your friends? Your cell phone? Facebook? Pinterest? Instagram? YouTube? FaceTube, as some people call it? I haven't introduced Deb to that yet, but we're getting ready. What in your life do you need to empty today to make room for God, who is your source? I want you to think about that, and I want you to make a decision tonight. And I want you to say, God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I haven't made you the priority. I'm sorry that I've been distracted. I'm sorry. And I don't stand up here and preach these words to you tonight because as I say that, I ask God to forgive me and I tell him I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being distracted by things when all he was trying to do was get me to draw near to him. And then we get to hold our arms out and he gets to extend his grace to us and he gets to say, be still and know that I am God. Last time I was here, I thought, I did this challenge and I thought, I'm either going to get stoned or never asked to come back again. Neither happened, so I thought I'd be brave and try it again. I want to encourage you to pick up your phones. There's this big blue button on your phone, it's called Facebook. And I want to encourage you for the next 72 hours to take Facebook off your phone.
I don't even.
Hey, we're already ahead of the game. I challenge you to do that. I challenge you to make memories this weekend that only you and your sisters know about. That nobody else knows about. But you, your sisters, and God. And if there's this part of you right now that's freaking out inside, going, there's no way that's going to happen. I want to ask you a question. Who is your source? I want to close tonight with another quote from Cadence Turpin. And I just want to encourage you to be present in building your relationships this weekend. I want to encourage you to let go of all distractions. I want to encourage you to enjoy God's presence because he is waiting for you. He's waiting to build a relationship with you. He's waiting to extend his grace to you. We got to let him do it. She says, when we pay attention, a community comes back to life because we've stepped outside of ourselves. We've turned a few things off, and we committed to what's in front of us. And by saying, I see you, we help light a lamp at the feet of our friends. And when we choose not to pay attention, we all get hurt. God sees you, ladies. But I want to ask if you see him. Here's to making God our